Don't be afraid to say, this was not discussed in our email agreement and this is now included in my contract. Because of this, I do have an additional rate. It's not personal. It's not personal. It's a business. Hey y'all, it's Kameron Monet coming to you guys with another influencer contracts video. I'm super excited about today's video because I'm going to be spilling the creative legal tea all about 3 clauses all influencers need to make sure their contracts have when working with brands. So if you're interested in this type of content, make sure you guys thumbs up this video, comment below, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and get your teacups ready because the tea is hot. So for those of you that don't know, I am a licensed attorney as well as an influencer, content creator, and entrepreneur, YouTuber, all of the things we love on social media, I love as well. But first things first, I'm a licensed attorney. If you haven't already seen some of my lawyer vlogs, I will leave them in the cards linked at the top as well as in the description box below. I also have an entire playlist talking about my journey through law school. I vlogged during that time, so some raw, real behind the scenes of crying after exams and the struggle. I show my reaction when I found out I passed the bar exam the first time and so many other things. So definitely check out my playlist if you guys are interested in that content. But in today's video, I will be talking to my fellow influencers, content creators, CEOs, entrepreneurs. We are all of those things. I'm going to be telling you all some tea when it comes to influencer contracts. Contracts shouldn't be scary. They should actually be empowering and exciting when you get a contract, because the whole point of a contract is to make sure that both parties, yourself as well as the brand that you're working with or brands that you're working with, are adequately compensated for the work in which you both are presenting to each other. It's a mutual benefit, mutually beneficial agreement. So with that being said, there's so much power in contracts. So I'm excited to be shedding light on all things influencer contracts. So we're going to be talking about 3 clauses you need in your influencer contract, okay? The first is a late payment fee clause. And I know some influencers are out there clapping their hands because there's nothing worse than you spending all of your time through the content creative direction process and creating the content and editing. If you guys want to see a video of me talking about how I plan campaign shoots and recording and all that, I will leave a link in the cards because y'all, it's a lot behind the scenes. We the photographer, the hairstylist, the stylist. We are the creative director, everything in between, y'all. It's a lot, okay? It's a lot, but we love to do it. We love to create content. We love to produce beautiful art digitally and non-digitally and just have fun with it and interact with our audience and all of those things. So by the time we get to posting and we got to wait that net 30, child, we want to make sure we are paid on time. Not net 31, not net 32, not net 33, net 30. That's what we agreed. Unless you agreed to like net 45 or net 60, which honestly, anything over net 30 really seems a bit too much, if I'm going to be honest. If they do say have a net 45 or net 60, I always attempt to negotiate getting 50% up front and 50% at the net, whatever it is, or 50% once the content is posted, or separated in 3 increment installments for payment, something, because waiting 45, 60, or even 90 days after you've already produced the content and they're immediately getting the value that you presented by already posting the content and they're getting the sales, etc., traffic, all those things, exposure, and you still haven't got paid, it's not a great feeling. So brings me to the late payment fee clause. So it doesn't have to be something complicated. Just have a specific paragraph in the contract that says, if said brand does not pay influencer, or whatever term they use within the contracts to reference you, we're just gonna say influencer in this case. So if said brand does not pay influencer on time, comma, net 30, comma, the brand agrees to pay 2 to 5% of the total payment every day that they're late. Something like that. And 2 to 5, you choose 2 to 5. Sometimes it's 10%. Honestly, I've sent 10% because it gets to a point where it's almost disrespectful. This is a career, this is a professional environment. We are spending our time, effort, money, etc. on investing in a brand, just as they are doing you as the influencer, but we want to make sure we are paid on time. We don't wait 30 days. What's that? And I understand there's things that happen. Maybe there's someone that was fired, or there's like something happening in the financial department. Make sure you are constantly keeping the influencer up to date on that, because again, this is a contractual agreement. You both are legally obligated and legally bound by the contents of this contract. Therefore, if you did not pay net 30, we have the opportunity to negotiate a late payment fee. And there shouldn't be much of a discussion there, because if I was negotiating with a brand and I included a late fee payment, as you should, and they say, oh, we're not agreeing to that, so then are you agreeing to not pay me by net 30? What's the problem? If you're gonna pay me on time, what's the problem? You shouldn't be afraid of the late fee payment if you're gonna pay me on time. What's up? Apparently, you are not. So that's why I need you to sign this, because I don't have time, especially if it's a brand you've never worked with, or maybe you're already kind of on the fence with working with them anyways. Honestly, any scenario, you should put that late fee payment. And I get it, brands still could be late. So what do? The next day, 24 hours later, you send them a follow-up email. Hello, said brand. Please see attached for the contract in which we agreed. If you see page 3, paragraph 3, we discuss a late fee payment. You have now passed the net 30 deadline in which we both agreed for you to pay me. Therefore, there is now a 10% increase. Please see attached for my updated invoice. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please shoot me an email. Best, Cameron. But seriously, I'm laughing. But seriously, that's how it should be. This is a profession. This is a business. It's not personal. It's not personal. It's a business. Pay me on time. That's why you need to have a late fee payment clause. The next clause I want to talk about is the termination clause. So many, if not all, contracts always have some type of termination clause. But what I want to emphasize on this is that there should be several different options. And I do want to add also, I'm only talking about 3 clauses. There's so many other clauses you should definitely include in your contracts, okay? These are just 3 that I wanted to point out that aren't really, I guess, the traditional kind of clauses. Okay, so back to the termination clause. You want to make sure you have options. And what I mean by that, you want to make sure that it sets out exactly what happens in several scenarios if you breach, if the brand breaches, or if it's a mutual breach. So by breaching the contract, that means both either you or the brand or both parties have agreed to completely stop the work of the project or just wash the entire collaboration working together for various reasons. But you want to make sure that if it's the brand not abiding by the contract, or you not abiding by the contract, or you both said forget the contract, there's an out that makes sense. So both parties are adequately compensated for the work they've already put in. And for the law students and lawyers out there, part performance, we all are familiar with that term in the legal world, where essentially once I began the contract duty, so once I've started doing something within the contract that was required of me, I have begun part performance. You can use this in a lot of other scenarios. It's a little bit easier in I guess home building scenarios. That's kind of like the number one thing they show in law school, like property law and things like that. But I think it could also be used in a variety of other things. Let's say, for instance, if you're the brand, we've signed the contract and I send the influencer the product and the influencer goes ghost. That is a breach of the contract, and the brand is now essentially lost money and income because they've invested in you by sending you the product. So that's an example of, as the influencer, breaching the contract. On the other end, with a brand, same difference. Say the influencer gets the product, creates the content, sends the brand, and they go ghost. So now the influencer has done all the work to create the content and submit it for review, and now the brand either is going ghost, they're not responding in a timely manner, or they completely squashed the entire campaign and did not inform the influencer, so they'd be able to not spend their time, money, and effort to create the content that was no longer going to be used. So you want to make sure that there's something there for both parties. And of course, there are some scenarios where both people are like, you know what, this just isn't going to work. That's happened for me, where I'm saying, you know what, it's not gonna work for me. I'll send the product back, I'll send the money back, whatever the case may be. You wanna make sure that both parties are covered, and that can be negotiated among the parties, what that percentage or what that amount is if it's a flat rate. So maybe as an influencer, you have a flat rate for that. But usually percentages are kind of what people lean on, because you never know, especially if we're talking about a contract that is maybe $10,000, you might not wanna have that standard $100 flat rate fee. You might wanna do a percentage. It's all about negotiating. And negotiating is not a negative thing. It's a positive. It's a healthy business conversation. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to say, this was not discussed in our email agreement and this is now included in my contract. Because of this, I do have an additional rate that is included because of what you're now asking me for. Let's say it's exclusivity or something. So don't be afraid to stand up for what you deserve and make sure you're getting paid and compensated adequately, because when you're getting paid the amount you deserve or the amount you're comfortable with in that specific collaboration, you're going to perform better, your content is going to hit better, and it's going to be a more comfortable, healthy, and positive relationship and conversation with that brand. So, little tidbit. Okay, so the last clause I want to talk about is force majeure, I believe is how you state it. And I'm actually just going to read what Google says because it's actually straight on point. Sometimes they don't get it right, but essentially this is a clause that discusses unforeseen circumstances that prevent someone from fulfilling a contract. So in the law world, we call this like an act of God. So the panorama that's been going on, that is definitely something that has hindered several influencer contracts, specifically more last year in 2020, where it was like revving up and it was such a new thing and no one really knew how it was going to work. Packages weren't getting delivered, stores were closed, we were in quarantine. All of those things are an example where force majeure really comes into play. So you want to make sure you just have a clause in there. Let's say you have the content in your home, unfortunately burst into flames and it's on fire and you no longer have that product. That is something that isn't necessarily a foreseen circumstance that could happen. So then that's going to push the campaign, push the deadlines, all of that back. And then also that may be where, hey, there's a mutual termination. Let me pay you out this, you've done this, or let me do this, where you all can negotiate that. But having that force majeure is going to put both parties honestly in a comfortable position, because you never know. Things happen on the brand side, things happen on the influencer side, whether it's business or personal on both ends. So that kind of covers everyone, like a just in case we're like, whoa, we did not plan for this craziness. We did not see this even coming, but we're both covered. We're both comfortable. Let's come together and figure out what can we do next. Is this still going to work? And not put either party in like a negative or a downside kind of situation. So those are the 3 clauses that I think all influencers should include in their contracts. If it's not in there, don't be afraid to add it. There's nothing wrong with making changes, deleting or redacting, revisions, revising, updating, doing anything with a contract that is presented to you where you can customize it and make sure that you are now comfortable with that. If you're reading a contract and you don't understand a term, Google it. Google isn't a lawyer though, I'm gonna be honest. Google is not a lawyer. Yes, you can find some helpful information. Yes, you can get the definitions of terms, but the way those terms work together to curate this perfectly packaged contract is where lawyers tend to come in. So if you all are interested in working with a lawyer, reach out to your local jurisdiction. You can call, for instance, if you're in Alabama, Alabama State Bar Association, and tell them what you're looking for and they can refer a lawyer to you. I do contract consultations, but this is a disclaimer. Although I am an attorney, I'm not your attorney. So until we sign an engagement letter, then that's when I can represent you as a lawyer. But I offer contract consultations as a way to present affordable services for those that don't necessarily have any legal action going on, because just because you have a contract, it doesn't mean you're currently involved in a legal matter. So that's why I love giving contract consultations, because I'm able to review the contract just as a influencer, content creator, and lawyer that understands the struggles that come along with influencer marketing contracts, without me only putting on my lawyer hat and going down the line of how can we create this legal action kind of thing. But by you using me as your contract consultant, I'm still not your lawyer. It's not legal advice, but it is advice from someone who has been in your shoes as an influencer. And I also have the legal knowledge of having a Juris Doctorate and being a lawyer. So it's like the perfect mix. Again, when I do it like that, it's because it's a lot more affordable, honestly. But then the benefit of having a lawyer as your contract consultant is that if there is a legal matter, I'm right there to help, and we can discuss and sign an engagement letter and create the attorney-client relationship, because it's not created until then. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my... Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to thumbs up this video if you enjoyed. Leave me some comments down below. Let me know some other influencer, social media law style videos you all want to see. Any questions you have, I'm here to help. I'm hoping to bring a lot more value in this space. I'm excited to be shedding light on it because it's important. It's a growing industry. And honestly, it's so much coin out here and so much money out here. We want to make sure that our brands are protected and secured by having the right contract that we're comfortable with signing, that we're comfortable with understanding, and having someone that has our back, like a contract consultant. Throw that out there. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Later!